Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Carlson's Lab. Today we're going to fix some computer speakers. The complaint is the speakers hum or buzz no matter what the volume control setting is. So in a quiet room, they always make this nauseating humming or buzzing noise. So let's figure out what the problem is and fix the problem together. Let's get started. All right, here are the computer speakers. So let's turn them on and see what's going on. I've already got them plugged in, so I'll hold this close to the mic here. Oh yeah, they do have quite a hum. Yeah. Both doing it. Yeah, that could be pretty nauseating sitting in front of that, right? No matter where the volume control is, let's put this down here. So they're both controlled by this volume control here. Yeah. All right, well, let's fix the issue. So I'll just unplug this. All right. So it looks like we have a cord going into the back side of this one here, and then there's a cable running out to this one. And the volume control and headphones and everything is there, and the audio inputs here. So it looks like what they're doing, I'll just get this cable, everything's all bundled up here. So it looks like what they're doing is they have the power supply in this, right? Because the line cord goes into this thing. And then the cable runs out and goes over to this one. So chances are there's the amplifier and all of the business end of stuff is in this, right? This is the audio input cable. And then this is the cable here that carries the power supply into this to power the amp. And then one of the audio amplifiers runs back to this over here to power the speakers. So what they're doing is they're keeping the power supply away from the audio amplifier to lower hum. In this case, of course, it isn't working too well. So let's figure out why it's humming. So we just have to get into this one here, get into this, and the problem will most likely be in this, probably filter caps or something like that. All right, here's well, let's try the plastic one first, because I don't want to be marking up the speaker. So let's see if we can get this in here and see if this is going to do anything. Depending on the glue, right? Yeah, good luck with that. So let's see. Now it's quite a bit more solid. And it is trying to move. It is trying to move, but I'm not sure how well this is trying to move. Yeah, that's maybe a little bit too wide. Maybe I'm trying to move too much at once. Boy, is that on there. I think they've definitely glued this into place. All right, well, we might have some marked plastic here. This is just a piece of the paint off of that, so let's do this carefully. Aha, that's movement. Oh yeah. Here we go, I can hear it. You hear that crackling? That is a good sign. Okay, so now maybe I can use something a little bit larger, so. Nope. When you use something so small like this, you know, you risk putting little indents in the plastic, but it looks like it's coming off pretty well so far. Yep, there it is on one side. So it's just glue. All right, let's see if I can get this one parted a little bit so I can get the screwdriver in there. It doesn't look like it wants to play. Maybe I just gotta keep using the screwdriver. It's coming. Look at that. Look at that. Almost. Yeah, almost. That is really on there. There it is. There it is. Whoa, look at the dust. That'll have to be cleaned up. Obviously, that's, look at that, right? it's obviously going to attract dust over the years, right? So, all right, that looks like a Phillips in there. I don't know if you can see that in there. See if we can get some light in there. We'll grab a small flashlight over here. That's the nice thing about a wireless mic. So you can walk around with it. It looks like a Phillips in there, way down inside there. Yep, it is a Phillips. So, I should probably be doing this on a mat, not right on the countertop or the desktop, right? So I'll have to go grab one of those in just a moment. Which one is going to fit? I have two different sizes. So let's try the small one first. That feels pretty loose in there. Try the larger one. And that feels just right. It's a problem with using the wrong size. Is a lot of the times, you know, you end up stripping them out, right? So it's not bad. Now watch, once I get all of the screws out, you know, the case will be glued. Oh, it actually feels like it's trying to part already. You know, usually they're tricky, right? They'll glue the case after they've screwed it together and just make your life all that much more difficult. But it looks like these are actually going to come apart. Now you got to be super careful with screwdrivers, because screwdrivers are these incredible tools that seek foam surrounds on speakers. All right, they're magic. They'll just, for some reason, they go, hey, I want to go through that foam, and it'll just fly up and poke right through it. So any of you that have worked around speakers know that. Screwdrivers love to pierce speakers. So, in fact, I've had them get up and fly across the bench on their own, just pierce a speaker and then roll back to their spot again. I swear sometimes these screwdrivers are possessed or something. All right, so let's get these things out of here. One more to go. Look at that. See, this is real time. None of this speed up stuff, and you know, you get the full meal deal here. Right? Real restoration. There's no mud on this. There's just dust. And I didn't find it in a ditch somewhere. Imagine that. Look at that. Aha, look at that. Nice little, 60 cycle linear transformer. Hey, that looks like a really nice speaker. Look at the size of the magnet on the back of that thing. Okay. So we've got a transformer here. So what are they doing? Are they running AC to the... Looks like they're running AC. Why wouldn't they put the rectification in here and keep everything clean? And then, what are you doing, Logitech? Why wouldn't you put the rectifiers in here and run clean DC down the cable over to the amplifier instead of running AC right next to the speaker leads all the way to the next unit here? What's that all about? Anyways, so there should be a board in here, you would think, and the rectification and everything and filtering would be done in here, and you'd have nice clean DC running down the cable over to this. But oh no, we've got to run AC all the way through the cable right next to the speaker leads and everything over to here. So we're actually bringing AC over to the audio amplifier side. Anyways, hey Logitech, need some engineering lessons? Anyways, I've got a great electronics course, so we'll talk about it at the end of the video here. Okay, I'm going to go over to this one now. So what I'll do, I guess, is put some screws back in. It gives me a good excuse to clean this, because look at how filthy this is, right? So I'll just leave some of the screws out just in case we need to go back in here for some reason, right? Because you just never know. So what I'll do is I'll put a screw or two in here so this thing just doesn't fall apart. And then we'll do the same over with the other one. I imagine this is just going to be the same process to get this other one apart. And of course, now that the grill's off of this one, something is probably going to come fly. I'll just put this on here just to protect it, just like so. That way nothing happens there. Imagine they're running AC into here, so obviously the filtering is in this. What are you guys thinking? Man, it's like you got lots of room in here, I can't believe, sometimes, it's just, stuff blows me away, Really, that's silly. I mean, when I see stuff like that, it's just, what are you doing? Anyways, let's see if we can get into this one, the same Since the business ends in this one, I imagine it's probably going to be more difficult, right? That's just the way it is. Need a bit of room in here. I did get it in there, so I can get my screwdriver in there. Yeah, there it is. It's coming along. As long as you're careful with a screwdriver, you know, you really don't mar up the plastic. And if you're, you know, twisting it like this, of course, you're going to create some grief, right? But what I'm doing is I'm running my finger up here, just holding it apart as I'm running this up. So when I'm prying it, you can see I'm running my finger up here, just holding it apart. So that does help, so it doesn't want to, you know, pinch back together again. Of course, the more surface area you have, like something like this, you know, the less tendency you're going to have to mar everything up. But with this thing, you just, you know, open them up and do whatever. It's like, it's so tight here, you know, can't even get a screwdriver into half of this. So again, real time, you know, no speeding up and skipping parts, washing mud off, finding this in a ditch somewhere while I'm riding my bicycle down a lonely road. I can't stand those videos. Anyways, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's been plaguing YouTube for a while, those videos. We're getting there. I can see what's going on here. See that? This thing is just glued like crazy. Again, you know, the business end of things, they don't want you servicing this most likely. So let's see if I can get down here. So they probably glued more in here, right, because of the controls on the bottom. And I really don't want to bend this grill up. There it is. There it is. And did I? Nah, it's not even marked. Very, very lightly, so nothing even there, so I'm not even worried about it. All this that you're seeing in here is glue, so see that, right? Absolutely fine. So I made a big deal over nothing. All right, so again, lots of dust. And we got screws here. I'll take the screws out. It's not like a transmission. If you've ever worked on a transmission, I've rebuilt many transmissions for cars because I seem to do everything. So if you've ever rebuilt say a Turbo 400 or see a 4L60 or a 4L60E, and if you've ever taken off the valve body, you have all of these bolts that you take out of there, and they're all different sizes all the way through the entire valve body. So they make a manual called the ATSG. I believe it's the Auto Trans Service Group manual, and in those manuals, it's like a Bible for the transmission. Really, it is. And you know, if you take the screws out and you don't realize it, or the bolts, I should say, out of the valve body, and you don't realize that they're all different sizes, that could be a really big problem when you put that back in. So, thankfully, this isn't like that. All the screws are the same size. Okay, whatever. That should be good enough. They glue this one together? No, I don't think so. It does feel like it's kind of stuck a little bit. I don't know what's going on. Maybe are the knobs part of the... Let's see, are they moving independently? No, it does feel like it. So maybe it wants to come straight out. Maybe the board is in something inside this or something. So it does feel like something is holding it. There it is. All right. Well, it's tight. And that looks like a bulged capacitor to me right over here. Okay, so I'm going to try and get this out of here. They've hot glued that in the bottom. All right, see there's hot glue all over there. Is it even hot glue, or is it some other type of glue? It could be hot glue. So if it is hot glue, the stuff that magically releases hot glue is rubbing alcohol. You put rubbing alcohol on it and you can move it around and it just releases hot glue. So what I'm going to do is get some rubbing alcohol and just dump some down in here onto the back. I don't know if you can see right down in there. They've just kind of poured it. I'll grab the flashlight here, poured this into the bottom. You see how they poured it down in there? Right down in there. Right? And just kind of float around everything. It looks like zap straps. Tie straps if you want. Plastic straps are known as zap straps here, and hot glue. So what I'll do is I'll dump some alcohol down there and I'll let that sit for a moment. I'll be right back. All right, let's see if we can get some of this. It's just going to run right out all over the desk. Let that sit for just a moment in the bottom there. So it's just got a little bit of a pool on the hot glue. And it doesn't dissolve it, but it releases it. So what I'm going to do is grab that flashlight again so you guys can maybe see in the bottom. Yeah, so it's just sitting in there, right? Just a little bit of alcohol in there. All right. Now what I'm going to do is grab a screwdriver. I don't know if this is if I got enough light going on here so that you can actually see in the bottom. Let's move this lamp around and we'll just try that. So hopefully this will release. Does it release? Is it the hot? Yeah, it's releasing. All right. Yeah, it's breaking up. See, that's just letting go of the plastic. That's what it does. That's what alcohol does to hot glue. It's kind of this. It just releases it. So the whole trick is just to kind of get it so that the hot glue can get between, or the alcohol can get between the hot glue and the plastic, and then it usually just releases it. So that is released. It's just this other one here that it's pretty hard to do this on camera, so pardon my hands between them. You can see how it's kind of, see how it's all crusty in there? That's what it does to it. It just makes it let go. So I don't know how much longer I'm gonna, oh, it's looking like this is starting to move. There it is. There it is. So now, there's a big pool of alcohol on the table. Look at that. Look at that. Right through. And right through. Now I can get it out of there. So that's what you do. So now I just got to soak up some alcohol on the table here. I don't think you can see that. So, look at that. Look at this here. I'll back this out. There's the rectification, and then there's the filter right there. Okay. So again, they're running AC right next to the audio amplifier circuit, and it should be in that other unit. So you have clean DC running over here, and that way you have the lowest possible hum because you're feeding clean DC down the cable, right? And you're keeping all AC out of this unit completely. All right, let's try and release some of this stuff as well. So just dump a little bit on there. A couple of drops on each one. All right. That should probably release that pretty good. And there it is. And then we got this one here. So I'm just trying to move it so that you can, I don't know if you can see that. So what it does is it releases it. The alcohol releases the hot glue from the plastic, and you can see how it's changing color as I do that, because now the alcohol is going underneath this and it's releasing it. So yeah, you can see it just completely give way. And there it is. So that gets that out of there. And I can move this down, and now I can effectively work on this thing without having the back hanging around. And I can dump some more. You see, it just basically makes the stuff fall right off, right? Right. So there's the trick for you if you don't know how to get hot glue off, especially this stuff. See, it just basically lets go of the wiring and everything. These have got zap straps on them, so they're going to be stuck in the zap straps down here, but that's okay. All right. So now this one here is obviously, and they've put some other glue on here, looks like more hot glue. Now the other capacitors are probably not too bad because this thing here, this capacitor here is going to be seeing filtering. It's going to be doing filtering all the time, whether this thing is on or off, because it's just coming right into here. And it looks like you can see these two wires here coming right from the other side, right? So there's nothing switched here. It goes right into the rectification and into this capacitor here. And chances are we do have, you know, judging by the bulginess of this capacitor. So see that there. The bulginess of this capacitor would indicate that, you know, this is on all the time. These ones here look okay. Now I could completely disassemble this and, you know, replace all of the capacitors under these heat sinks and pry up the glue, but they look like they're all okay. Okay, so let's test this out. See what's going on here. So these are the two terminals right here. So we can probably see how much AC is on that with, I'll just get this alcohol out of the way. We can see how much AC is on that with just this plugged in. So I'll plug it in. Oh, that sounds nice. There's some nice hum there. Let's check out the AC across this capacitor. What do you think? How much do you think is going to be there? Millivolts? A volt? Microvolts? What do you think? Place your bets now. Is it going to stay? Is it going to actually stand for me? All right, so this is on AC right now, because we're going to try and read the AC across this filter capacitor. So let's try it out. Let's see what we got going on here. Whoa, just about a volt. 1 volt of AC across a, was that about 2,000 microfarad? Let me guess, 2,000, yeah, 2,200 maybe? 2,200. That's 16 volts. So, call me crazy, but I think I saw in the other thing there's 12 volt supply. I could actually read the AC. Let's see what DC's across it. It's obviously going to be a lot more DC than there is AC, right? So 11 volts. All right, so and we have about a volt of AC. So we've got AC on this side. What do we got coming in? 10.6, yeah. So there we go. So 16 volt cap, that's cutting it close, probably why. And never seen this name before. So what we'll do is we'll turn this thing off and unplug it. And what I'll do is I will pull this capacitor out. Oh, you can see everything I'm doing here. I got hot glue sticking to my hands and everything. So I'll take this cap out and we'll put another cap in and see what that does. Takes that horrible, aggravating hum away. All right, let's remove that capacitor. Even left the glue behind. All right. So I'll get an ESR meter in here and let's see what this thing is doing on an ESR meter. Obviously, we know that this is the issue. And we'll also test the other capacitors as well to see if they're on their way out. Again, I'm not going to replace all the capacitors in this thing. It was sounding fine supposedly before it came in. It's just had a horrible hum and mixed in with that sound. So if the capacitors are okay, I am definitely not rebuilding a pair of Logitech speakers. Let's test the bulging capacitor from the power supply. So it's supposed to be 2,200 microfarad. Let's see what it actually is. 80 microfarad with an ESR of 2 ohms. I would say that's very, very bad. All right, let's see what these are, just for the fun of it. Let's just test these two. What are these? Those are 1,000 microfarad. See if we can get any readings off of those in the circuit. Check their ESR anyways. All right, hopefully you can see this. Make sure I got this all on camera. Oh, 959 I saw there. I can make connection with this. Yeah, 959.09 ESR, no problems there. Let's test this one. 940. 940, ESR of 0.08. So those caps are fine. These caps are absolutely fine. So supposedly this thing sounded fine. It just had a horrible hum when they sat quiet. And obviously we know what that is now, so I'm not going to worry about those other caps. Just a little bit more justification to not actually need to get in here and replace those. It's a horrible job. Again, they are Logitech speakers, right? So now I'm going to replace this with this, which is quite a bit bigger. It's a Panasonic cap, much better quality. The only issue is that this sits into the bottom, right? And of course, I will go like so, actually. So it goes like that. So if I put this in here, it would fit just fine this way, right? Clear out some of the wax. But as you can see, it's way too long. That isn't going to fit back into the case. So what I'm going to probably have to do is put some tubing on the cable and just bend this over on the underside here. So that's the only way I'm going to be able to do that, because they didn't leave any room. They didn't leave any room, and I want to put a better cap in here. I don't want to put a piece of crap back in this thing. So just bend it over like so. And I'll put some tubing on the legs here. And that should be absolutely fine, and that'll keep this out of the way of everything here, because there's no room in the back side of this. You see this here? As soon as you put this in, it's on a taper. It goes in, so that capacitor is just about touching this right here. So I'll have to bend that over. So what I'll do is I'll get some tubing, cut some tubing to size here, put it on the legs here, just bend that one over, and it should be absolutely fine. All right, so I just cut some tubing to size here, as you can see, and just placed it over the leads. That's the leads right there, right? And that'll fit right in there just like that, no problems. So there's a lot of room in there. It'll just sit like so, and it should be absolutely fine, and it'll have a better capacitor. So what I'll do is I'll just bend this like so for a second, and bend that like so, and the capacitor won't come out. So I just bend the two legs over, and that holds it nice and tight. And let's see here if I can do this all on camera. The desoldering tool out of the way, and grab the soldering tool, clean the tip off there. Roll of solder is fighting me. There we go. That looks good. Put this back into the holder over there. You notice I put my finger on top of that, because if you don't, these things will fly. You got to be careful. Because sometimes if you clip these things, if you don't wear eye protection, they'll fly into your face and you'll get poked in the eye. So you got to be very, very careful. Always use eye protection when you're cutting the leads off of something like this here. Especially if you're cutting them and you're not covering them with your finger, because they just absolutely fly. Depending on the type of clippers that you're using. These are great, these ones here. But I have some that will cut them incredibly. These are the clippers that I'm using right here. You can see that. Those are great. Fantastic clippers. And the ones that I use when I'm designing circuit boards and such is the EREM 776. Those are my absolute favorite clippers, and I save those for my special work. All right, so what I'm going to do is just get a bit of cleaner. I usually use lacquer thinner on a Q-tip, and that takes the flux off very, very well. Now, if you're going to ever use lacquer thinner on anything, you read the precautions on the bottle and know that lacquer thinner will attack the plastic or the writing on the capacitors, but on the bottom side of the circuit boards, most of the time I find I don't have any issues. Again, if you're following along, you're doing so at your own risk. All right. So what I'll do is I'll leave that here. This is just going to end up falling over on me anyways. See if I can, maybe I'll go grab some right now. Do I have any right here? No, I don't. I'm going to have to go grab some. All right, so I've got a Q-tip here with a little bit of lacquer thinner on it. You got to be really careful with the stuff around plastics like this as well, right? The reason that I use lacquer thinner and I don't really use alcohol a whole lot is the lacquer thinner really cleans this up quite nicely, gets rid of everything very, very fast. And there we go. All right, now that the capacitor is in, I've got it plugged in. Oh, that's nice. That is quiet. So I'll hold this right up to the microphone here. There's nothing there. That is silent. So that was obviously the problem. Just before I go about reassembling the speakers, I definitely want to test them to make sure everything is okay. There's nothing worse than putting something all back together and then finding out that there's some undiscovered issue. You have to disassemble them all over again, right? So this is the audio input to both of these speakers here. I'm sure you recognize this. This plugs into the back of the computer. It's basically the same thing as a headphone jack. So the bottom portion here is the common, the one connection up. So the center connection here is one speaker and the tip is the other speaker. Just the same thing as a headphone. This is my audio signal generator. I'm going to feed this into the input here. So this is the common lead and this is the signal lead. There's a low amplitude tone on this right now. The speakers are on and the volume is at about 50%. So they're powered right now. So I'll attach the common of my signal generator to the common of the input. Now when I touch the signal lead from my signal generator to either the tip or the one connection below, I should get a sound out of one of the speakers. And there it is. So that's this speaker right here, no problems, nice clean sound. And this one here is a little closer, so there it is. Nice and loud. That was somewhat facing me. The amplitude of both of the speakers is the same, it's just one's facing in another direction, that's all. So no problems there whatsoever. So look at that. We saved these speakers from going to the landfill for the sake of what? $1.50 part, something like that? The speakers reassemble very easy. In fact, it's easier to put them back together than it is to take them apart. Kind of odd, right? So I use some Windex on a very soft towel, just like this, and I wipe the face of the speakers down, being very careful of the surrounds, and this is how they turned out. The surrounds have some form of a special coating on them. They're like brand new. They're like they're right out of the box. There's no problem, so there's a lot of life left in these. The grills, same thing. Just use some Windex. And with this particular towel right here, just wiped it off and they cleaned right up. Now there's enough of a friction fit on the speaker itself that I won't need to re-glue these at all. If I just press these back together, those grills are on solid. And if it ever did need to come back apart someday again, I wouldn't have to be prying so incredibly hard. So it's kind of a nice balance. There's enough to hold the grill that, it wouldn't rattle or anything. And the next time, again, it would be much easier disassembly. So that's basically it. Look at that. For the sake of a $1.50 capacitor, two great working speakers again. Thanks for stopping by the lab today. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you are enjoying my videos, you can definitely let me know by giving me a big thumbs up and hang around. There'll be more videos like this coming in the very near future. We'll be taking a look at solid-state electronic devices and vacuum tube electronic devices alike. So there'll be a lot of repairs and restorations and teardowns and all of that great stuff on this channel. So if you haven't subscribed, now would be a good time to do that. And definitely tap that bell symbol. That way you'll be notified as soon as I post a brand new video. YouTube's really funny about that. If you don't tap the bell symbol, you just don't get notified all the time. It's kind of an interesting system that they've got going. Anyways, if you want to take your electronics knowledge to the next level and learn electronics in a very different and effective way, I have a great ongoing electronics course on Patreon that you may want to check out. I also share many of my personal electronic inventions and designs there, many of which you've seen me use multiple times on this channel. I'll put the link just below the video's description under the Show More tab, and I'll also pin the link at the top of the comment section. So if you click on the link, it'll take you right there. All right, until next time, take care. Bye for now.